Yeah, you can use, I don't know.
I don't need, I don't
I
need
know,
to.
I'm thinking that Natalie, I'm just so confused today. Yeah, that Natalie was up there, but it was,
No, I
it's
don't.
not answered. Nice. So do you have any other issues besides vertigo? Are you aware of shoulder symptoms? Anything? Good, perfect. Let's go this nice, yeah. Yep. Okay. School. Both the kids graduated Newfield.
How long ago?
Okay, so settling in, you can lie down with the knees bent or the legs straight, either way. So try both, see how your back feels, maybe settle your shoulders. Sigh out the breath if it helps you to settle in. Do you mind if I get rid of some of your lumps?
You don't like my love stick up.
Not in your body,
Huh?
just in your towel.
That's comfortable.
Okay. Nice. Oh, man. Okay. So, yeah. Starting to draw the focus to your breath. What does that mean? Just watching as the breath moves in and out of your body. Not controlling anything, except maybe drawing the breath in through the nose and allowing it to leave the body through the nose. You know, in the cold season, winter, flu season, I mean, it's hard sometimes when too congested, but if it's possible, it quiets the nervous system if you can allow the breath to move in and out of the nose.
Could you speak louder?
Yes, I can.
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
I have some of these, I should bring them.
Can I move your sneakers, is that okay? Yep. So, no trip hazards. Yeah. Okay. So as you watch the breath moving in and out of your nose, filling the lungs completely, maybe, where do you feel the breath settle? With the inhales. Can you feel the breath in the back of the heart as the body presses into the earth? Maybe you're just noticing cooler air coming in through the nose and warmer air leaving the body. Maybe you're noticing the rise and fall of your chest. Right, lift your head. Oh, right. Maybe you're noticing the rise and fall of the belly. Or the expansion of the ribs as the ribs open for the inhale and come together on the exhale. The body working to release all the stale air and to open to allow new oxygenated air to flow into the body. Releasing any tension, softening the eyes and the jaw and the shoulders, consciously using the exhales to let go. And thinking about what brought you to your practice this morning, take some effort to get yourself up and going. What is your intention for your mind, your body, your spirit, what are you hoping to gain? Placing that in a short positive statement, as if it were true and already happening, so shortening it to a word or a phrase and placing it in an I am statement, repeating that softly to yourself a few times. And returning the focus back to the breath. Drawing the breath deep into the lungs as if you were inflating a balloon, so the chest expands, the ribs open, the belly softens. And with the exhale, gather up the belly, draw the belly button towards the spine and up towards the heart. As the diaphragm presses into the lungs, the ribs come to the midline, expelling all the stale air. Deep inhales, allowing the breath to fill the body. Complete exhales without over-efforting. Aiming for a 4-count breath, maybe even a 5-count breath, evening out the inhales and exhales. Allowing the breath to fill the front and back of the heart. One more round of breath like this. And with your next inhale, extend the arms up overhead, reaching through the fingertips without over-efforting. Maybe flexing the feet if they're extended, if the legs are extended, and opening up through the back body. Noticing the side body opening, and then pointing the toes and maybe feeling an opening across the front body. Soften the arms, release some of the efforting. Yeah. And with your next exhale, float the arms to either side of the hips. Bend one knee at a time, place the feet softly on the floor in front of you. Take a couple of rounds of breath here, sighing out the exhales. And I'm going to suggest, if you're not suffering from vertigo this morning, that you remove the prop under the back of your head. As we start to open up through the cervical spine, the back of the neck. So tucking the chin towards the notch in the collarbone to lengthen and open up the back of the neck. And then softening there. Release some of the efforting. With your next exhale, gather up the belly, draw it in and up, and draw the knees in for a hug. Maybe you're clasping the hands in back of the knees or over the shins, maybe rocking from side to side. If you're sitting, you can draw one knee in, but keeping the length in the upper body, softening the shoulders. And then the other knee. Being careful not to come into the back of the neck, soften the chin. Nice. And then releasing the bind, allowing the feet to float to the earth again. Nice. And starting with pelvic tilts. So on the exhale, the belly button hugs towards the spine as the spine comes a little closer to the earth, but not touching. With your inhale, the hip points roll towards the knees. You're coming into your natural curve of the lower back, maybe a little deeper. Exhaling, belly button towards the floor, bend, opening up the lower back, inhaling. So you can rock through the pelvis even if you're sitting, but come a little forward on your chair, and that would allow the feet to come to the earth. Yeah. If you're on the floor, maybe bending your knees. So yeah, bend your knees, let the feet come to the floor. So that on the exhale, you can start activating the legs and pressing into the feet. Hug the belly in. Inhale, release, soften, roll the hips towards the knees. Working into the lower back and the hips, becoming aware of any gripping or tension. And coming to stillness here. Snuggling the shoulder blades maybe a little closer together under the heart space. Softening through the jaw. Maybe the feet, the heels, walk a little closer to the sitting bones. And the feet are hips distance, or the length of a dollar bill between the feet. So they're not touching, but they're not too wide. Nice. Keeping the gaze to the ceiling to protect the back of the neck. As you press into the feet, you're activating the legs and inhaling, lifting the hips one vertebra at a time, coming to rest on the shoulders. And exhaling, using the core muscles to lower down one vertebra at a time, skipping the lower back, coming right to the sacrum, right? Not forcing that natural curve out of the lower back. And we're lifting and lengthening, drawing the shoulder blades together, opening up through the heart, and exhaling, hugging the belly in, but not rounding forward. So inhaling, lifting, lengthening, draw the shoulder blades together, yeah. Exhale, upper, don't collapse, yeah. Just hug the belly in, roll the hips. Inhaling, very subtle, not much you can do when you're sitting, too much compression, right? How are we doing? Next time you inhale and lift, pause there. Press into the feet, squeeze the inner thighs together. Maybe lift just a little bit higher. And with your exhale, float it down. Nice. Walk the feet out to the edges of the mat. Allow the knees to come together. So keep the knees bent. Yeah. And feet are to the edges of the mat and the knees fall together. Allowing the sacrum, the lower back to open. Can you sit on the edge of your chair, Natalie, with your feet? Yeah, just so that makes you sit up tall. You know, use the core muscles, and you can get those knees together maybe a little. It's hard because those chairs slant down so much. Find the breath. And throughout the class, I will only suggest things. You know what's going on in your body, and you get to opt out or modify. Maybe come into a restorative pose like child's pose, or just lie flat on the earth, or come to sit. Nice. With your next exhale, open up the knees. Nice. Come up onto the heels as you flex the feet. Yeah, feet are nice and wide, Paul, the width of the mat. And move the hands a little away from the hips so that you have room to windshield wiper the knees. And we can just move like this because it's harder to go side to side. So just move them together and out. Yeah. Just get some movement in the hip sockets. So you can actually roll from side to side if you're on the floor. Yeah, internal rotation, external rotation of the knees. Yeah. Of course, honoring the back body, so noticing any sensation in the lower back and stopping at your edge. So bend your knees, hon. How you doing today? Okay. Walk the feet out to the edges, sides. Yeah. And just softly. Yeah. Just starting to work into the side body, back body. Belly's engaged, so the belly button hugs in and up to support this movement. Nice. Come to stillness. Inhale the arms up overhead and extend the legs, slide one heel and then the other straight out on the floor in front of you. Nice. Walking both arms over to the right. So if you're sitting, leave the feet bent. Both arms over to the right, keeping the shoulders flat on the floor. And breathing into the left side body, maybe both legs walk over to the right, keeping the hips rooted to the earth. Yeah. Nice. So they walk over this way. Yeah. Breathing into the side body, letting go of some of the efforting. So you can even use your right hand. So careful not to come forward. Up is more important than over. Breathing into the side. Nice. Allowing the breath to fill the body. Using the exhales to soften. Inhale back to center and exhale over to the other side. Reaching up through the right hand first and then over. Rooting the right sitting bone to the earth if you're in the chair and moving from there. So try not to let the body bring the weight into the left side. Softening, releasing out of anything that doesn't feel right. Can this arm come to the floor next to your ear? Stay here, yeah. Even if it doesn't go any further, borrow, squat. Okay, nice. Maybe this side feels different than the other. Just noticing without judgment softening, allowing the breath to fill the right side. With your next inhale, come back to center. Exhale, both arms to either side of the hips. Nice. Rolling over to one side or the other, using your arm as a pillow. Maybe one shoulder, one hip feels a little better than the other. Draw the knees up towards the chest to start to open up through the back body. We're just sitting. We're going to come to stand in a minute. And maybe your forehead comes in the direction of the knees, maybe not. Starting to open up through the back of the neck without efforting. Nice. Using the hands on the floor in front of you, press yourself up to sit. Allow the hips to come to one side and the heels to the other. Walk yourself over to tabletop. Take the time to pad the knees if you need to. Nancy, yeah, yeah. And then press it back into child pose. Allow the hips to flow to the knees. So yeah. Allow the forehead to come in contact with something. Soften the shoulders. Allow them to slip away from the ears. Down. The breath fills the back of the heart. The shoulder blades splay away from each other. And the back body fills with breath. As I touch you again. Use the inhales to scan your body and the exhales to release. You are allowing the body to come a little deeper. Yes. Oh, wow. Look at that. Hips floating to the heels. And then the forehead makes contact with something. Keep the hips back. Releasing. Finding length through the back. That is the intention of this posture. To allow the space, soften the shoulders. So I'm going to suggest. So walk yourself up. Exhale, hug the belly in, and inhale, walk yourself up, Stephen. Press. Sit up onto the heels of the yeah. Put your arms on the chair. Now let the hips come back. Stack your hands. Allow the forehead to rest on your hands. Is that okay?
Yeah.
There you go. Soften through the shoulders. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is it better?
Mm-hmm.
This is our restorative pose. You can make it a little more active if you're ready and walk the fingertips forward, extending the arms as straight as possible. Coming up onto the pads of the fingers as if you had a tennis ball under your hand. So the elbows lift and the arms walk out in front of you. To find even more length, the hips stay back towards the heels. So Linda, gaze up for a minute towards me. So you're like this. So the armpits float to the ceiling. Let go of some of the efforting. Soften. With your next exhale, gather up the belly. Inhale, back up onto all fours or come to stand if you're at the chair. Nice. Take some hip circles here if it feels good for you. So the arms are strong and you're reaching the hips out, back, and around. Getting some movement honoring your knees, your back belly hugs in and up, still supporting the back body. You can, right here, hips, femur bones moving in the hip sockets. Reverse the circles if you haven't already. Try not to come into the back body. Just the hips come to stillness. Find your neutral spine. So there's a curve in the back of the neck. There's a curve at the lower back. Your arms are strong without locking out the elbows. Even the pads of the fingers press into the floor. Walk your hands a little further forward, Nancy. Nice long spine. Even more forward. So we're staying in tabletop. We're not coming. Yeah. Nice. So knees are under hips at a right angle. Shoulder blades slide away from the ears and together across the back. Nice. So this way. Yes. Nice. And you're finding the breath. You guys can come forward when you come to this seat. Yeah. Oops, sorry. This way. And with your next exhale, as you gather the belly in and up, you're inhaling the right leg straight up and back. Sorry, I'm yammering even though I'm saying that. Flex the foot, draw the toes to the knee. Yeah, reach into that heel. Find some length in the back body. That hip stays parallel to the floor, that right hip. You guys look awesome. Gaze a little forward of the fingertips so there aren't any wrinkles in the back of the neck. And maybe you're experimenting with inhaling that left arm straight up by the ear. Top of the left foot presses into the earth. The right arm is strong and the belly hugs in and up. Thumb to the ceiling as you rotate the entire arm. Nice. Reaching forward through the fingertips back. And the most important thing, you're breathing, even inhales and exhales, and backing out of anything that doesn't feel right. And with your next exhale, you're lowering your hand and lowering your knee. And if it's okay with your knees, you're standing up on your knees or standing up at your chair and rolling through the shoulders. So come all the way up. Linda, right? You said? Linda? Your name again? Linda. Yeah, roll your shoulders up, back, and down. Sorry. Some movement without efforting. So the shoulder blades are sliding up and down. They're meant to have some movement. So notice the back body. And then forward a couple of times. But your body knows how to do this, so don't over effort. Inhale, shoulders to ears. Exhale. Sigh it out, let them flop. Big inhale. And exhale, let it go. Nice, one more time. And release. Take a shoulder loop so they come up to the ears, towards the room in back of you. Over effort, exaggerate that. Feel that opening. Keep the breath moving. Soften the tips of the shoulder blades down to the waist. So we're not pressing from here, but rather drawing the tips of the shoulder blades to the waist. And let go of some of the effort. But keep the shoulder blades active. Let the chin be parallel to the floor. Yes. Nice. Exhale, gather the belly in and up to support this forward bend. Bend from the hips. Allow the hands to float to the earth, to come back into tabletop. Always moving mindfully, using the core muscles, the belly, the back, the side to support the body. Finding your tabletop. Exhale, gathering up the belly towards the spine and inhaling the left leg straight up and back. Arms stay strong. Nice. Always the option to come down to the forearms if this is too much for your wrists. Find the breath. Toes towards the knees. Reach into that heel, straighten the knee so the heel comes back out of the hips. We may be experimenting with inhaling that right arm straight up by the ear, but each side is different, so honor your body. Find the breath, still breathing. And you're smiling. This is so much fun. Exhale, lower down. Take the big toes together and walk the knees the width of the mat. Allow the hips to float to the heels, then walk the hands forward. Allow the forehead to make contact with something. So Stephen, you can stay up on that chair. Even still. You can still walk the knees wide if that works for you. Yeah. Softening hands. Allowing the heart to melt. Allowing the heart to melt between the armpits. Come a little closer to the earth. Bend your knees. Very important to bend your knees. To release those hamstrings. To soften. These toes straight. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry. One more big inhale. Exhale, gather up the belly. Inhale up onto all fours again. Nice. We're going to come to stand. So inhaling whatever leg is strongest. Knee, whatever. If you have issues with one knee, then don't use that leg. Inhale that leg straight up and back. Exhale, gather up the belly. Allow the knee to come towards the chest. Help it forward the rest of the way in between the hands. Curl the toes of that back leg. Straighten it and step it forward. Nice. Let the heels come to the floor.
Oh, I gotta stay.
Yes. And come halfway so that the upper body's parallel to the floor. Yeah. Soften, breathe. Gather the shoulder blades together on the back. Reach the heart space forward. You good? Good. Breathing. Okay. With your exhale, the hip points reach back. So the weight starts to come into the heels. Walk your feet a little forward, Stephen, towards that chair, so that you can use it even more forward, so that the feet forward. Yeah. So that they're under the hips and the hips come back. This coming up. Nice. With your next exhale, gather up the belly, press into the feet, and inhale all the way up to stand. Roll the shoulders up, back, and down. Big circles. Nice. Take the feet nice and wide. And what am I saying? Make some hip circles, sorry. So you're rotating through the hips, out, back, and around. Big circles. Get some movement. Keep the heart open and the spine long. I can give you my email address if you want to talk about working out something for you. I have a pen. And reverse the circles if you haven't already. Oh, yeah. And come to stillness. Walk the feet to hips distance. Rock. So about the space of a dollar bill between the feet. And you're rooting into both sides of the feet. All four corners. Both sides, front and back, four sides, side to side. And lifting the energy up as you gather or engage the quadriceps. And engage the pelvic floor. So gathering up. And then the lower belly lifts up towards the heart. And the ribs start to lift away from the hips. And the shoulders soften down the back. And you're finding a gazing point ahead of you, a stationary point to help with the balance. So, And the breath is smooth. And as if there were an inner tube around the heart center, front and back, you're filling, expanding horizontally, allowing the breath. Nice. Opening up the hands to face forward. Energy comes up through the bottom of the feet, through the top of the head, and reconnects through the fingertips. Thinking about that intention you started your practice with, that I am statement. Repeating it softly to yourself. Blinking open the eyes if you've closed them, and on the inhale, the arms float out, back, and around if it's okay with your shoulders. And on the exhale, they float through the heart center. Inhaling out, back, and around. Maybe gazing up with the eyes, don't lift the chin just yet. Exhale, float it down. Last time, inhale out, back, and around. Linking breath and movement, simple. Nice. Release the arms. Shake it out, let it go. This time we're going to fold forward, so coming into half forward fold, so the body is parallel to the floor on the exhale, right? So pressing into both feet, inhaling, reaching up, gazing up with the eye. Find that length without efforting. Exhale, float forward. Bending at the hips and the knees. Resting the hands on the thighs. Exhaling, the belly hugs in and up. Inhaling, hips reach back towards the heels, top of the head forward. Deep inhales, complete exhales. Draw the shoulder blades together and reach the heart away from the pubic bone. Can you find more length as if you were going to take a back bend? So activating the back muscles to open up the front. So hands on top of the thighs. And then draw the shoulder blades together. And lift through the heart, not the chin. Heart. Softening. Softening. I don't know what's going on in your body, right? Soften the gaze to the chair so that there aren't any wrinkles in the back of your neck. Exhale, gather up the belly, press into the feet, and inhale all the way up to stand. Roll through the shoulders. Okay, let's move with the breath. We're not going to hold it this time. But think about the action of exhaling, reaching the hip creases back, and inhaling, coming forward to find that space through the back body when you're in that half forward fold. Big inhale. Complete exhale. Root into both feet. Inhale all the way out, back, and around. Exhale, float forward. Lead with that heart. Keep that opening. Bend the knees and the hips as you come forward. Release the hamstrings. Inhale here. Exhale, hug the belly in and up. Press into the feet. Nice. Inhale all the way up. Soften through the shoulders. Now just let it go. Exhale, float through the heart center. 2 more times like this. Inhaling out, back, and around. So the lift is at the shoulder blades, not up by the ears. Exhale, float forward. Not the muscles on either side of the neck. Floating, floating. Hug the belly in and up. So you're exhaling, folding deeper. Inhaling, lengthening. Pressing into the feet. Coming all the way up to stand. Soften either side of the neck. Nice. Exhale, float it down. Last time. Inhaling out, back, and around. Moving with your breath. You might be slower or faster than the rest of us. Exhale, fold from the hips. Bend the knees. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Shoulder blades slide together. Heart reaches forward. Awesome, Nancy. Exhale, hug the belly in and up. Press into the feet. Inhale, all the way up to stand. Exhale, float the hands through the heart center. Allow the thumbs to rest at the heart center. So, coming up into Tadasana. Just connecting with breath and any other sensation in the body. Maybe you notice the heart. Can you soften the shoulders, allowing them to be active on the back without over-efforting? Can you root into all four corners of the feet and activate the legs? Find the lift through the belly. Most importantly, the breath is smooth and even. Nice. Release the arms to either side of the hips. Take the feet nice and wide. Allow the arms to bend at the elbows. Just let it go. Maybe you're looking over the opposite shoulders, but the belly hugs in, right? This is a twist, so not going past your edge. And coming to stillness. So take a balancing posture. See where the core is today. Take a shoulder loop up, back and down, step the feet together. Bring the weight into the left leg, come onto the toes of the right. And you're finding that gazing point ahead of you so the chin is parallel to the floor. Nice. And that standing leg is strong and active from the inner groin all the way to the big toe. And the pinky toe side. So both sides press into the earth. Usually we roll out to the pinky toe side. So conscious of that big toe rooting to the earth. We'll take tree pose today. So maybe that knee is rotating out to the side, but both hips stay facing forward. And you're breathing. And maybe the heel rests against the ankle. And maybe you're staying here. Maybe you're experimenting with lifting that big toe off the floor, pressing the foot into the ankle or the calf. So there's an energy of the bent knee and the standing leg, and there's a lift from there. Maybe the hands come to the heart center. Maybe they extend up overhead slowly with the breath, softening and breathing here. Maybe the arms extend, the hands open wide, softening the shoulders. One more big inhale. Exhaling, floating the hands forward, down, and the knee forward. And maybe you're extending that leg straight out in front of you. Flex the foot, reach into the heel. Lift the toes, exhale, float it down. Nice, shake it out, let it go. Each side is different. So, find that gazing point ahead of you. Root into the feet, find your Tadasana, your mountain pose. Bring the weight into the left leg, coming onto the toes of the right, or whatever, the opposite of what you did before. Some people were different, no worries. Find the shoulder blades active, nice but soften at the same time. Find the belly lifting and lengthening. And maybe rotating that bent knee out to the side without bringing the hip with you. Maybe resting the ankle, heel against ankle. Maybe that big toe lifts and the foot rests against the calf. Finding the balance between efforting and letting go. Using the breath as your cue. Maybe the hands come to the heart space. Maybe they inhale overhead. Honoring your body wherever you are today. Find some softness here. Come to your edge and then let it go a little. Yeah, nice. And you're smiling again. Not so serious. One more big inhale, exhale, float the arms down. Draw that knee forward, maybe extending into that straight leg. And exhale, soften it down. Nice, shake it out, let it go. Roll through the shoulders. Nice. Step the left foot out, we'll face the windows. Coming to the long ways, part of your mat. Nice, feet are nice and wide and the pinky toes are parallel with the edges of your mat. Coming to wide-legged stance. So Let your heels come out a little further so that the pinky toe is, so you feel a little pigeon toe, the opposite. The opposite. Allow the toes to come in. The other way. Heels out. Yes. Nice. It feels a little awkward. It opens up through the lower back though when you try and draw the toes forward. Nice. Draw the shoulder blades together. Lift through the heart. So find the shoulder blades underneath the heart and lift. Nice. Having lots of space through the front body. Allow the breath to draw there. Now to fill that space. Draw the elbows together. Lift a little deeper. Lead with the heart, soften the back of the neck. With your exhale, you're bending at the hips, softening the knees. Coming forward. Keeping that opening through the front body. The work on the back body. Yeah. How's the breath? Leading with the heart. Shoulder blades draw together. Bend the knees. Maybe you're pressing the earth away from you from side to side. So legs are strong and active, starting to open through the inner thighs and the hamstrings. Softening. So allow this heart to lift. Do you feel that work? Less pressure in this area, right? Now your spine is straight. Nice. Awesome. Come to stillness here. Inhale. Exhale, draw the belly in and up, press into the feet, and inhale with a flat back. Take a slight back bend, press the hips forward, the thighs forward. Lift through the heart, and come to neutral here. Nice. Roll through the shoulders, let it go. Let the right toes point to the top of the mat. Walk that left foot back, nice wide stance, 3.5 feet, even if you don't bend the knees. And the heel of that back foot comes out a little further, or the toes come up towards the corner of your mat, nice. And then you're squaring your shoulders and your hips towards this way. Arms can come to either side. Nice. Inhale, lift and lengthen. Can you hug the hip points up and allow the tailbone to sink towards the heels? Not so that we're flattening out the back, but so that we're opening it up. Keep that work. With the exhale, bending that right knee so it tracks towards the first and second toe. You should see your big toe as you bend the knee. So you need to open that knee back. Keeping the length through the core body. Inhale the arms out in two. Good, Nancy, both arms. Nice. Soften this shoulder. Bring the body up. Soften this shoulder. Nice. So the spine is stacked. Soften through the top of the neck. Through the shoulders.
This is where we hold all our tension. Can you try to soften?
Yes. Awesome. And we say that a lot. We all do it. Right? With your exhale, that left hand floats to the back of the thigh. And with your inhale, the right arm comes up towards the ceiling, finding your peaceful warrior. Palm faces towards the floor. So up and over. Yeah, nice, Nancy. Reaching into the right side body, allowing the breath to fill that space without over-efforting. Soften the shoulders and the jaw. That left shoulder comes back, nice. So that you keep that opening across the heart space. One more inhale. Exhale, soften a bit. And inhale back into warrior two. Exhale, float the left hand down. Inhale the right arm up. Maybe gazing to the elbow crease or up towards the fingertips. With your next exhale, soften the left shoulder. Allow it to slide a little closer to the right. Shine your heart open a little more. Back of the shoulder blade, right shoulder blade towards the left shoulder blade. Yeah, the left shoulder blade towards the right. One more inhale. Exhale, release, soften a little. Inhale back into warrior two, this time half breaths. Exhale. Inhale, right arm. Exhale, soften. Inhale, warrior two. Nice. Exhale, left arm down. Inhale, right arm up and over. Exhale, soften. Inhale, warrior two. Exhale, float both arms down. Heel-toed feet together. Roll through the hips. Just gonna put that here. Roll through the shoulders, let it go, shake it out. And we'll come to the other side. So the left toes are perpendicular to the back of the mat, left foot. And the right foot walks out, toes in a little further than the heel. And then squaring the hips and the shoulders as if you were between two panes of glass. Shoulder blades active on the back. Belly hugging in and up. A lot to work on. Take what you need and let go of the rest. Maybe you're just breathing. Rooting into both feet, finding your foundation. And with that exhale, you're tracking the knee towards the first and second toe so that you still see the big toe. So the knee comes towards a room in back of you, opening up through the hips. Soften here. So other way, not the hips, but the knee tracks. Yeah. And this knee starts to open. Nice. Find the breath. Take yourself out of anything that doesn't feel right. I only offer suggestions. Inhaling both arms straight out. Soften through the jaw. Soften through the tops of the shoulders. Are you coming forward or are your shoulders over your hips? Can you find that? If you try to lift through the heart space, it will give you that length to stack your spine. Soften through the tops of the shoulders. Exhale, float the right hand down. Inhale that left. Exhale, soften. Inhale, reach through the left arm. Nice. Exhale, hug the belly in and up. Inhale, float into warrior two. Exhale, left arm, right arm down. Inhale, left arm. Exhale, soften. Release some of the effort. Inhale, back into warrior two. Exhale, right arm down. Inhale, left arm up and up. Exhale, soften. Inhale, warrior two. Last time, exhale. Move with your breath, don't wait for me. Inhale. Exhale, soften. Inhale, warrior two. Nice. Float the hands down. Heel toe, feet together. Good. Step to the top of the mat. Roll through the shoulders. Back and down. Let the shoulders settle and soften down the back. Let the feet be hips distance, maybe a little wider if you're feeling unbalanced today. We're going to take some chair pose, Zez. So you can opt out of this if it bothers your knees, your back, right? So scan your body with your breath. Move slowly and mindfully so that you can feel your edge and then back out of it if you need to, right? Never forcing your body into a shape it's not ready for. So gathering up the belly, rooting into both feet. With your inhale, the arms extend overhead, if that's okay with you. Maybe they're in cactus. Does that help you soften either side of the neck, right? Still working the shoulder blades to draw together a little. With your exhale, the tailbone heavies towards the floor, but the heart stays lifted. Nice. Keep the breath moving. Sorry, the arms are still working. Press into the feet with your next exhale. Stand all the way up. Inhale here, draw the shoulder blades together. Exhale, hug the belly in and up. Heavy the tailbone to the earth. Inhale here. Reach the hips back. So the weight comes into the heels a little. Nice. Big inhale. Exhale, press into the feet. Inhale all the way up to stand without locking out the knees. Nice. Exhale, soften. Inhale here. Exhale, gather up the belly, reach the hips back and down. Inhale here. Hug the hip points up. Reach the tailbone back and the heart lifts. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, float the hands down. Roll through the shoulders. Back and down. Big inhales, complete exhales. Inhale the shoulders to the ears and exhale, let them drop. Big inhale and exhale. Let it go. Let's come into warrior one. So we're standing at the top of our mats. Finding equal weight in both feet. And then bringing the weight into the left leg so that we can step or slide that right foot back. Allowing the heel to come all the way to the floor. Nice. Squaring the hips to the room in front of you, shoulders and hips in alignment. And maybe you're feeling unbalanced, so you need to walk that left foot out a bit to have a wider foundation. Nice. Soften through the shoulders. Nice. Hug the hip points up. The tailbone comes towards the heels. Nice. With your exhale, that left knee bends. Nice. Keep the work in the right leg. Trying to straighten that knee and root into the heel. How does this feel? Find the breath. Nice. The toes point forward. With your next inhale, that right arm extends straight up to the ceiling. Soften through the shoulders. Gaze up as your wrists straight or your fingers reaching up. Can you straighten that a little? Reaching up through the fingertips and feeling maybe a deeper opening in the front of that right thigh. Reaching back and down into the right heel. Nice. With your next exhale, float that arm down, straighten the left knee without locking it out. Inhale, back into warrior one. Lift and lengthen. Exhale, press into that left foot, straighten the leg. Inhale, reaching up, maybe even gazing up. Exhale, float down. So don't hold your breath, move before I suggest it if that's your breath length. Nice. Next time we exhale, softening, stepping that back forward, walk it out, bend the knees, roll out the ankles, roll through the shoulders. And we'll come to the other side. So bringing the weight into the left leg, coming onto the right leg, coming onto the toes of the left, and stepping or sliding that left leg back. Squaring the hips and the shoulders, tucking the tailbone towards the heel as you lift and lengthen. Maybe you need to walk that foot out a little wider. And with your next exhale, bending into that right knee. Keeping the work of rooting into the left heel. Nice. With your next inhale, maybe that left arm extends straight up. Keep that left hip drawing forward. Feeling the opening in that hip crease, right? The quadricep maybe even. So rooting back and down into the heel engages the muscles in the back of the leg to open in the front of the leg. Nice. With your next exhale, you're straightening that right leg, floating the arm down. And with the inhale, floating back into that posture. Exhale, floating out. Inhale, coming back in. Finding the length. Exhale. Just a beat between. You don't have to wait for me. Inhale. Nice. Exhale. Nice. And the next time you exhale, step that back foot forward. Shake it out, let it go. Yeah, we'll come to the floor and finish on the floor doing the rest of the work. So we'll come through a sun salute if that's okay with you. Well, inhale, lift and lengthen. And exhale, lead with the heart, bend the hips and the knees. Inhale here. And exhale, bend deeper so that you can come to the chair or the floor and step one knee back. And then the other, nice. And come into child pose. Your choice, knees together, knees wide. Float the belly over or between the thighs. Allow the forehead to make contact. Allow the hips to come back towards the heels. Throat is open. Heart softens and melts. So much pressure right there. This is waist. You feel that difference?
Mhm.
Can you? Yeah. Allowing the breath to be even, using the exhales to soften. With your next exhale, gather up the belly. Inhale all the way up to sit onto the heels so that you can let the hips come to one side and walk the feet out in front of you. Walk the hands in back of the hips. Draw the shoulder blades together so you can lift through the heart. Walk the feet out to the edges of the mat, flexing the feet, coming onto the heels so that you can windshield wiper the knees. Trying to get a little deeper internal rotation without forcing, but allowing. Keeping the upper body relatively still, trying to work into the lower half of the body. Keep those shoulders, yes. Not collapsing into the front body. Nice. Come to stillness here. Slide the feet and the knees together. Find the sitting bones, rooting into the earth, and inhale, lengthen from there. You can even press into the arms on either side of the hips and find that nice long spine. Nice. And the belly button is gathering towards the back and up towards the heart to aid in that lift. Yeah. And maybe this is enough work for you today. Squeezing the inner thighs together and breathing. Maybe you're taking the hands to the back of the knees and rocking back onto the hips. Still keeping that lift of the heart towards the knees, but the shoulders away. Nice. And maybe you're lifting the toes, keeping that work in the core body, and the breath is strong, smooth rather, and even. And that's your cue. Soften through the back of the neck. We don't need those muscles right now. We're using the muscles that wrap around the ribs, that lift through the back. Nice. Maybe the hands extend. Maybe not. So back out of anything that doesn't feel right. Is the breath still smooth? Is your heart lifting and lengthening? Nice. And with your exhale, float the feet to the earth. Maybe you're walking back onto the elbows and rolling down. Maybe you're walking over to your side and allowing the back to roll onto the earth. So honor your back. Allow the spine to come to neutral. Maybe the legs are extended, maybe the knees are bent for a few breaths as you breathe into the lower back, the hips, soften through the shoulders, maybe tucking the chin towards the notch in the collarbone and lengthening through the back of the neck. Even inhales and exhales. And with your next exhale, gather up the belly and draw the knees into our hug. So if you're not feeling dizzy here, I'm going to lower this maybe getting some movement, rocking from side to side, maybe not, soften through the shoulders. And come to stillness and allow the feet to float to the earth with bent knees. Feet are hips distance, shoulder blades snuggle together under the back, and you're keeping the gaze up to the ceiling. Inhaling that left leg straight up to the ceiling. As you root into the left hip, the heel reaches and lengthens out of the body. Nice. Find the breath. Hips rooted to the earth. Nice. With your exhale, hug that left knee in towards the armpit. With your inhale, extend it up to the ceiling. Yeah. Inhaling and exhaling, moving with your breath. Noticing where you feel this, the back of the thigh, the glutes, the lower back. Coming to your edge and then backing out of it, not efforting. So hips stay on the floor. So that when you inhale and extend, just the leg reaches up. Yeah, nice. Not the hips. Nice. Next time you inhale, come to stillness there with the leg extended. And roll through the ankle, making some circles out, back, and around through that ankle. And then reversing the circles, and you're still breathing. And the shoulders are soft. And you're coming to stillness there and extending into the heel, keeping that foot flexed, and crossing the ankle over the thigh. The ankle crosses all the way over the right thigh. Yeah, nice. And then softening that, just the ankle. Softening the left knee away from you. Yes. Allowing the breath to fill the left hip. Yeah. Foot flexed protects the knee if you need that. Equal weight in both sides of the hip, so not rocking over to the left or the right. Find the breath. Use the exhales to soften. As you feel an opening into that left hip, maybe the right heel walks a little closer to the right sitting bone. Maybe it's in your practice to take the bind. Soften through the shoulders. You're welcome. Nice. If you've lifted that foot off the floor, exhale, lower it. Inhale the left leg straight up to the ceiling. And exhale, soften it to the earth with a bent knee. One round of breath here, deep inhale. Let go with the exhale. And inhale the right leg straight up to the ceiling. Reach into that heel as you flex the foot. Maybe backing the leg away from you or towards me to straighten that knee a little more. Now use the core muscles so you don't have to bind full. Yeah, you can let go of the hands. Yeah, and reach into this heel, kick into my hand. Yeah, look at that, nice, awesome. Find the breath. With your exhale, that knee comes in towards the armpit. With your inhale, it extends, working in and out. Yeah, inhaling, moving with your breath. You might be faster or slower than your neighbor. No efforting. Keeping equal weight in both sides of the hips that are rooted to the earth. Gathering up the belly on the exhale to create some space for that thigh to come a little closer maybe. One more time like this. And with your next inhale, coming to stillness. Extending into that heel as you straighten through that leg. And making some circles through the ankle. Out, back, and around. Rotating into the ankle. Slow, mindful little circles and reversing the circles. Nice. Coming to stillness and inhaling, extending into that heel again, straightening that. Exhale, cross the foot over the thigh. Right foot, left thigh. Nice. Maybe you already notice the difference between this side and the other. Breathing into that hip. Softening that right knee away from you without rocking the weight into that side. So keep breathing into the sides and just soften. The side is tighter, right? Yes. Uh-huh. So I'm going to unfold this. And maybe you're walking that left heel a little closer to the hip. Maybe it's in your practice to lift that left foot and take the bind. But that sacrum is rooted to the earth and there's a natural curve to your lower back. So you've gone too far if you've lost some of that curve, if your spine is flat on the floor. And the breath is smooth. And with your next exhale, you're gathering up the belly and inhaling that right leg straight up to the ceiling. Reach into that heel. Maybe backing the leg away from you to straighten a little deeper. Nice, Janet. And with your exhale, lowering that foot to the floor. Yeah. Taking a couple of rounds of breath here. Letting go with the exhale. And with your next exhale, gathering up the belly and drawing the knees in for a hug, getting movement if that feels right for you. And maybe you'd like to take an inversion. So you can snuggle the hands under the hips, or you can use a block. No. Yes. So snuggle the hands under the hips, or you can try putting a block under there. I don't know how that would feel for you though. Good. How about bend your knees, place the legs on the chair. Yeah. Soften the shoulders. Tuck the chin towards the neck. Find the breath. This should feel good. Just reversing the blood flow. Taking our inversion. Soften through the shoulders. Allowing the breath to soften. Maybe a few more rounds of breath like this, or releasing the posture whenever you need to. They say 10 rounds of breath in an inversion for it to do its job. For you to get the benefit. So when you're ready, you're bending your knees. You're floating your feet to the earth, pressing into the feet so the hips lift, so you can remove the prop. So you can stay like that, Stephen. So you can lower, if it feels okay. Does it feel okay? Lower the hips one vertebrae at a time. Extend the legs straight out in front of you. A couple of breaths. You don't have to. And with your next exhale, draw the knees in for a hug. One more time. And taking a final spinal twist. So the knees stay over the hips and the arms come out in T with the palms facing up. And you're exhaling one knee at a time over to the right. Let's see. Feel about this. You can take the feet off the chair. Let's see how you feel about a twist.
So knees over the hips, if you're sitting in a chair. So exhale, lift the feet, sorry. And exhale, one knee at a time. How does that feel? Allow this knee to soften, allow the feet to soften. So you all have blocks and blankets. So you need to prop that lower leg so the top leg rests on top. Otherwise, the body is efforting to support that top leg. And you can't open into that hip. Yeah, nice. And you're breathing into the side body, and that left shoulder comes softer to the earth. And maybe you're gazing to the opposite fingertips, or maybe not. Fingertips opposite the knees. So towards the left fingertips. Soften through the back of the neck. Breathing into the space across the collarbone. Feeling that energy from fingertip to fingertip. Expanding into the left side body. With your next inhale, gaze up to the ceiling. Exhale, gather up the belly, and one knee at a time comes up to center. And then up and over to the other side, one knee at a time. Let the arms come a little lower than your shoulders, Nancy. Is that okay? Perfect. Softening even through the feet. Maybe gazing towards the right fingertips. How is your neck? Each side feels different. Use the exhales to soften. To let go of some of the gripping and tension. With your next inhale, gaze up to the ceiling. Exhale, gather up the belly, dart in and up, and one knee at a time comes up to center. Taking any final movements to complete your practice. And then preparing for Savasana, so maybe you need to cover up, blanket, prop, pillow. So come to lie down, and then I'll see what we need to do. Okay. That's it. Nice. So did it feel better for you to have your legs on the chair, or better for them to be extended?
On the chair.
Okay, so bend your knees, throw them over your hips. Okay, I'll slide your legs on. Sorry. So, oh, you know what? Exhale, hug the belly, and lift the legs, and return to sideways for your feet. Yes, go ahead. Yeah, is that good? You can allow them to even separate whatever feels right. Yeah. Sacrum resting on the earth, right? Natural curve. Okay. And then let it all go. Nice. Savasana. Allowing the body to absorb the practice. So we've opened up the body, released some of the gripping and efforting. So now the body can rest a little easier, a little closer to the earth. Releasing into that support as if you were lying in sand, and the sand was meeting the body in all its curves, supporting you. Release into that support. Releasing all control of the breath, your natural breath moving in and out of the body. And we honor the thoughts that tug at us, and then release them to float away. Over and over again, we draw the focus back to watching the breath. Softening the space between the eyes, allowing the eyes to rest heavy into the back of the head, and the forehead to melt towards the earth. And all the muscles in the jaw soften and release, allowing the tongue to slip away from the roof of the mouth and the lips to softly meet. And all the muscles in the face soften and melt. Watching the breath, bringing new life, energy, prana into the body. And releasing stale air and anything negative that doesn't suit you. Filling the space surrounding you. Maybe attaching a color or a mantra to the breath. Simply saying, I'm breathing in, I'm breathing out, if that helps with the focus. gently deepen your inhales and exhales. Slowly bringing your body back from stillness with small, gentle movements, softly rubbing the fingertips together, wiggling the toes, maybe slowly turning your head from side to side. And with a deep awakening inhale, extending the arms up overhead. And then floating them to a comfortable position, bending one knee at a time to place the feet softly on the floor in front of you. Taking a couple of rounds of breath here, using the inhales to scan your body, to notice what your practice has given to you today. Feeling more awake and alert with every inhale, yet relaxed and peaceful. Using your arm as a pillow, rolling over to one side or the other. As you allow the breath to fill the heart space, expanding into the front and back of the heart. Bringing to mind the intention you started your practice with and repeating that I am statement softly to yourself. Resisting the urge to open your eyes, keeping them softly closed, pressing the hands into the floor in front of you and walking yourself up to a comfortable seat. And inhaling the arms up overhead, bringing the palms together to float to the heart center. And we lift our hearts and bow our heads to honor that perfect light that shines in all of us, uniting us. Thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.
Thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Move slowly. One, two.